So this is the front entrance. Well, technically the back entrance, but we use it more often. It's a little macadamia tree. There's a orange, and over there a lemon. Gonna one day put a sign saying help yourself when they start bearing. And then it's my dog Kojin. Scully, hello, hello. Yes, my aloe. Coral tree. There's a perennial little basil there. People ask me where I get my rocks from. That's what my soil looks like. If you dig like more than 10 centimeters down, I get bedrock. So most of these were dug up from the property during construction. Yeah, and quite a few of the bigger ones I actually got given from my friend who was getting rid of his. This is a lovely indigenous bush tree called a snakeberry. It's got... Oh, that gave me a fright. There's little chameleon. I was looking for another one this morning and I couldn't find it. Yeah. How's it, Jana? But yes, this is a snakeberry and it's got nasty thorns on it. Like the actual branch itself is a thorn that grows more thorns with leaves on, and then they just get harder. So it's a good security bush. And there's a jasmine in the background and a prickly pear or two. This is a crossberry. It's got like a caramel flavored berry, and also a small tree to bush. I'm training another crossberry because it's almost like a creeper. It finds a support and it'll grow up anything it finds. So I'm letting it find the blue gum because that's an invasive species. Anyway, moving on. It's my garden. Well, it's actually the municipal land that I'm just guerrilla planting. There's another snakeberry. I've got a down there, but it's really small still. There's a That's a really, I don't even know the name of this thing, but it's like quite a rare aloe that got saved when they were excavating Kucha Harbour region. There's another macadamia. And then, we've passed some more trees that I've planted. There's another couple indigenous thorn trees. The one on the right is pertipus, which basically means hospice. Because if you crush the leaves, it smells like, you guessed it, hospice. And then this, I'm not actually sure what it is, but I definitely know it's indigenous, and it's got thorns, so I like those thorny things on the outside. Another macadamia nut tree. Then we've got roost. Somebody told me there's a giant locust. Somebody told me that some science guys have changed the name now to something else, but I just remember the first name that they tell me it is. I don't like Latin. I don't speak Latin. There's another roost tree that I didn't really plant. It's just always been there. Look at the size of those things, man. You know, trees are so intelligent. They invented the pointy stick to kill their neighbors way before humans. Check the coral tree out here. Beautiful. The birds love this tree. They come and drink nectar. There's a family of sunbirds that live somewhere around here, and territorial over this tree, but I haven't seen them in a while. It's another little Rus yellowwood. This is actually one of the first trees I ever planted in like 2001, and it hasn't grown much since. But that's new flush, and I've put in terracing and things around that tree, so maybe that'll improve things a bit. So, yeah, not shaded enough for the tree to actually grow fast. That's a newly planted stinkwood. There's a cheesewood, and this is actually it's a little indigenous kind of what is it? Corpus, so your cucumber family. There you go. And then it actually makes little red berries that you can eat. Oh, I nearly stepped miss there. There's some flowers. These are my steps I built same time I planted that tree, so like in 2001, and they've lasted up quite nicely. No cement or anything like that, just stacked stones. There's my, I call a parrot rock and a bird rock, and then that marks the entrance to the stairs that we'll go up now. Wait, let's just look here. Hey! My dogs must be with me. Cully's gone inside. But look at these flowers. This is why you don't weed your grass, so you get this. Look at them. And in autumn, it's covered in these little black and yellow butterflies. Fantastic. Sneezewood, Yucca, not really indigenous, but it's not invasive as far as I know. Oh, I saw a snake recently, so I'm on edge a bit. There's a wild iris. I have no idea what this thing is, but it's happy, so I've left it. This is one of my favorite little weeds, so-called weeds. It's actually a part of the fynbos family, but that's huge. Don't know all of those guys. This is a part of the crassula, but it'll be covered in a month or two with these luminescent purpley pink flowers, and the entire bush is just glowing purple. Really, I like them. Out the road, boy. Yes, here's a yellowwood that I planted a few years ago, 2 years ago, and there was actually a fire in this little patch and it burnt completely. There's the old little stalk it had, but it's regrown very nicely and it's doing rather well. There's another one of those glowing purple bushes. Iris. Here's my ironwood, and my ironwood over here and that other sneezewood were chopped down before I moved back into this property. I was traveling China and whatever, and yeah, some guy just came and hacked my trees down. I inquired and they said they were a garden service hired by the tenants, but yo, they did a bad job. And there you can see where they cut it the first time, but this thing is now taller than me and it's doing really well. And here, I didn't even plant this. It was given to me by probably a bird. This is a Strangler Fig, a rather big tree, and this is a yellowwood, and I planted this Also the same time as that other one, and it's shot up so quickly. It's taller than I am. Didn't get burned in the fire, but it's probably why it's so tall now. And then there's a little acacia tree, elephant ear, cannas. No, they're not cannas. That's a lie. That's what we call a donnerhout. Some aloes. Nasturtiums love this place. I've never planted a nasturtium in my life, and they just keep popping up. I love them. This is Cape Cotton bush or tree, hence its name. You can make cotton from its flowers, and birds use them in the nests to insulate them. This is an olive, a normal olive, not a wild olive. And these are my terraces. They're all just dry stacked stone walls that, because this was a pile of rocks when I started. It was just rocks and rocks. So over the years I've just taken the rocks out, used them as the wall, and what little soil was in between them I've kind of put them in the terraces, and it seems to have worked quite well. There's a milkwood that I've planted. There's another stinkwood, another little baby yellowwood, tree aloe, and we're back up here. But yes, there's my section of the Verge stone wall. So this was a slope, and then it got cut in half to terrace the property, and that's where we got the stones to build the wall. It's really quite amazing. That's a wild plum. Yes. No idea, but it's got a lovely flower. Yes, it's my gate. I didn't do the actual metal work, but I put a tree on it. And then we used to have home shows, but COVID, and then we're hoping to start again. And welcome back. It's a fireplace, so I need to do quite a bit of burning. There's a veggie bed, well, turning into a forest now. There's a bay leaf, some rosemary, some basil. I call that bubblegum basil because it smells like bubblegum. And then this is your normal perennial basil. There's a rock I got given by my friend, and I threw some succulents to see if they'd stick, and they did. This is a St. Pedro. For those who know what that is, good for you. There's a log of a donnerhout tree, a little blueberry that's doing surprisingly well because it likes acid soil, and I've got like a almost perfect 7, so I've given it some vinegar and things, and it seems to be happy. Artichokes. This is a guavadillo. My chooks. I'm busy with their new home. That's my next project because this one's looking a bit shabby. You can see it's a rather large structure. Last year's amaranth. And then I've been neglecting my garden quite badly, but what I normally do is now I use that as a stake for my tomatoes. This is what we call a inkberry, and it's part of the nightshade family. So the green berries are poisonous, but the black ones are delicious. It's a freshly planted citrus. I don't usually tie back my trees, but this thing was overburdened with flowers from the nursery, so I just helped it along there. There's a gooseberry, a little chili bush that's not happy, and what do we call this? A Pinot melon. It's a melon. There's a flower for you that want to do your research. Yeah, and it's got a nice egg-shaped size fruit that's got a thick skin, but it's actually very tasty. And then other citrus, the only citrus that hasn't got a stake on. Yes, and that's a tree tomato or tomatillo. This is one of my first trees I planted as well, the acacia. Nitrogen fixer, the shame. My poor olive. This has had such a hard time. When I planted it, I didn't realize that my climate's not the best. So it struggled. It's got an infection from thrip, and I don't use chemicals. So I've been trying to neem it, and it's had minimal effect, but you have to do it regularly, and I haven't, so it could be that too. There's a grasshopper. It's my peach tree, planted at the same time as the acacia. Bounty of peaches every year, but can I get them before the bugs? No. And there's my fig. Figs do really well, and citrus, so that's my new thing. But the peach tree is just a beautiful tree, and I'm actually going to put my new chicken coop under there so they can eat the bugs and the fruit if they want to. There's a little sculpture. Oh, we're going this way. There's the house. It's my shelf, I guess you can call it. I like bonsaiing stuff, so I was pruning a tree for my aunt, and it had a strangler fig in it. So strangler figs do really well as bonsais. So I just stuck the branch in a pot, and then I'm gonna see what happens. Yes. And there's my other bonsais. I call this one the Ugly Duckling, because as a bonsai enthusiast you would never want to use the stock. It's got like an inverted taper, it's got ugly bulges and things, but I'm gonna try, and it's getting there. I like it. Well, the pot's really nice, and the roots are actually holding everything up, and then there's rocks in between, because as you've guessed, I really like rocks. It's another little strangler fig. I can't remember where. Oh, I found it in the neighborhood, and I knocked on the guy's door saying, "Hey man, can I come and grab these trees? They're going to cause a nuisance." And it was a policeman, and I got more of a shock, because he had full uniform and a gun. There's my other first ones I've done. I've redone the pot many times, but the tree kind of stays the same. And look at these. I've recently started doing this to my bonsais, because that's how trees in nature grow, with air plants. There's a little orchid garden at the back of my bonsai. It's all its roots and things. Kali. It's my nursery, tree nursery at the moment. Banana circle that gets fed from that thing that you wash yourself in. Forgotten the name. There's a big rock, and I'm waiting for my gardener to come help me with this, because that's a two-man job. There's the other one I'm just postponing until Tuesday. It's our aquaponic system. It's my mom's second attempt, and it's working really well so far. We've got no fish, we're just circulating the system to check if everything's working. My mom's the one who built the house, and in our city she's known as the Mudhouse Lady because we've got very creative names here. So there's our washing line. And this is, well, it was on the property and covered in sword ferns, which are like really invasive. So stripped all the sword ferns out, and as you might have noticed, I don't like weeding all that much. So whenever I pull something out and I know it's going to come back, I try and replace it instead. So that's what happened here with succulents. And then I just started seeing what else would grow. So I've planted bulbs and flowers, and a bird planted a gooseberry there. I've once seen a tomato growing on this tree. So yeah, really nice tree this. There's a bird nest fern. It's my woodlot, learning carpentry because I'm building that giant steel structure at the moment. This is my fence. We replaced it 2 years ago now. A year ago, yes, it was last winter. So this is 1 year of growth. So the grapevines are waking up now. This is a little mushroom. Yeah, this is, I have no idea. I might actually chop it, but again I need to replace it with something because it's a screen, so I'm just leaving it. What are you? A jasmine, Indigenous jasmine. There's our Grapevines Vineyard. This was planted when the house was built, and we used to have a wooden wicker fence that was falling apart. So my goal with this is to do like welded patchwork in between these gum poles. So the wire fence you see is temporary-ish, like a 10-year thing, and it is cheap and it works and it holds the grapes up. And then eventually I might not even do that if the fence thickens out by itself. There's ironwoods and not ironwoods, stinkwoods and mulberries and obviously grapes and roses and who knows what else is growing here at the moment, and especially on my neighbor's side. The whole place is just like one big alien invasion. This is that Indigenous cucumber. Extra fencing, Joja tank, workshop, plumbing supplies, compost, human manure, dog manure, and terraces. So this is the first section of the fence that fell down and I had to replace, but I didn't use cement because, well, I thought I was going to do it again quite soon and I haven't. So use cement when you're putting in your poles for a fence or some substitute. But yeah, I tied one of the poles to the tree and it pulled it down. So that's why it's a bit skew. Yeah, but I learn from things. That's actually no cement there. The top is cement, but the wall is just cob and stone. Mulberry, giant mulberry, my neighbor, cypress, and then you can see a little crossberry growing up that tree. Who knows where it starts, but yeah. Is this junk yellow wood? Verge from above. I call this the dog track because they just run up and down here and trample everything you try to plant except on the edges, and they need a space to run. This is the food forest section. kind of. This, man, avo, never given me an avo. I planted it, went to China, and then the rootstock had overtaken the graft stock, and yeah, they don't tell you that in nurseries, but you must keep the rootstock down because it'll take supply away from your nice lovely trees, and you get the rootstock variety that you bought, not the actual fruit. There's another basil. What are you, Clivia? Dog poo. Lemon tree, same thing that happened to the avo, happened to the lemon tree. This is my bench. I sit here to contemplate life and my garden. It's my throne stone. There's a there's a retaining wall, also just done with mud, and then I really do like just throwing things in to see if they grow, and most of the time they do, because I choose really like drought tolerant, water wise plants. This is a aloe that's growing out from the wall. Acacia, Kojin, back to the fruit trees again. Yeah,